Road Dogg grabs one of the tag titles, does a belt shot. X-Pac does the X Factor. 1, 2, 3. We have new tag team champions already? The Rock wants revenge, and so do we. It's Tales from the Attitude Era.
Who do we want revenge on?
Time. I don't know.
Time.
We want revenge on some of our negative
our listeners?
commenters.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. I happen to kind of agree with most of them.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah.
Well, it's Rob here, your host, Rob Pasbani here, of course, with the former writer of WWE in the year 2000, where we are right now, Tommy Blacha.
Then the WWF, until it was get the F out.
Yes, it was very much WWF at the time.
I still miss that. I don't
agree.
like WWE. It just never. It's the WWE. So
It
this
doesn't make
is
sense.
the World Wrestling Entertainment Championship.
Yeah, I hated it.
Yeah, and then through the ages, as we've talked about, when they've given, especially some poor Eastern European types, this whole like, I'm going to challenge you for the World Wrestling Entertainment Champion. You know, like, oh, here's 40 syllables. It doesn't make sense. And yeah, WWE doesn't work.
I still think, like, look, they are a multi-billion-dollar company now. They're like a huge conglomerate. They can work out a deal with the World Wildlife Fund at this point, like pay a licensing fee at the very least, so you could just say WWF in archival content.
Oh yeah, that it gets so silly.
weird.
I've seen things too where I think they've gone off it, but at first there would be like, blur out that WWF logo, and it's like, oh fucking
yeah. Well,
lawyers.
they created a licensing agreement where past content with the WWF logo can remain unaltered, but they still cannot say WWF. It's so weird. I even saw a clip where they've gone back and changed Hulk Hogan's promo to say WWE title, and it sounds so obvious, you know, like, oh, let me tell you something, I'm gonna get you for the WWE title, you know, like,
yeah. Oh god,
you have the money.
That's that's fucking so awful. It's bordering on awesome.
The thing, like the most egregious offense, I think, is when they reissue old merch from like 30 years ago, like WrestleMania 1 merch.
Right.
But then it's the old traditional WWF logo, but then the F is chopped off and it's symmetrical. It looks terrible. I can't. I feel like I'm being gaslit. You know?
I know. Now, how do we segue this rant back into the Attitude Era? Well, because that didn't happen in the Attitude Era, and that's why we went on that rant.
Right. Well, don't worry. I got plenty to rant on tonight.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Uh-oh.
Well, not plenty.
Retro rant. Ooh, that should be your Pasbani's retro rant.
Rob's retro rant.
Rob's retro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Triple R. R squared. Rob's retro rant.
The first words we hear from Jim Ross as we go on air, post video recap of SmackDown, is the Red Hot Rock is looking for the WWF title, and the McMahon family are gunning for the Rock, which really sets the tone for the moment. And it's interesting. I feel like after WrestleMania, the few weeks after WrestleMania is always a bit of a down point in WWE. You know, you've spent all this time theoretically, not necessarily in this case, but just in the general sense, building up WrestleMania. This is like a bit of a reset. You're catching your breath. You're realigning the chess pieces. This felt like this episode.
It's a little bit of a hangover. My analogy is too, like, it's weird, 'cause, again, the uniqueness of what wrestling is, especially when it's growing, and especially when you even think like SmackDown is not that old at this point. It's not 2 years old, you know.
Yeah, 6 months
still,
old, or 8 months.
And still putting that into like the cycle of like, what are pay-per-views? How many are there? And just like more and more and more and more and more. And if you use the analogy of like baseball lead to the World Series, anything else, football. So if baseball led to the World Series and like, and then like, wow, that was incredible. Okay, season starts next week. What? You know, that's kind of feeds into that natural sort of hangover, if you will, or, you know.
Yeah. And you could kind of sense it on the show. There's still some storylines lingering from pre-WrestleMania.
You know what this Raw was like? It's like when your mom, when you had like, oh, I've been eating a lot of meals, and then like, oh God, we got to make dinner again, and like, what's in the refrigerator? Oh, I put this with this and with this, which is sometimes can be like, oh, that might be interesting, or sometimes some good things come out of it, and like, what is this? Oh, this is the soup mixed up with the meatloaf and something else, and it's a casserole. It's a casserole Raw. Put it that way, yeah.
Casserole. I think that's fair. That's a fair assessment of the episode. Not to say it was bad. There was definitely some fun stuff on this episode. So let's get into it. Rock comes out first. He's talking about SmackDown. He's proud of what he did to Vince on SmackDown. If you remember, he got a bit of revenge for Vince turning on him at WrestleMania by hitting Vince with a chair. And Rock, again, like Rock is again with these jokes. Like he says, let's look at the footage of Vince. No, it's not the footage of you, the Chinese midgets, the 900-pound tuna, and the chopsticks.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? After all the dust settled, after all the llama's anuses have been licked? Huh? He's really like double tapping it.
Did you hear that the latest lawsuit with Vince McMahon was about the Chinese dwarf and the chopsticks were named in it? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So he must have really known something.
Well, it's funny you say that because Vince says something later that really takes on new context after his recent lawsuits. We'll get to it in a moment. Rock says he wants Vince to remember the picture on the Titantron forever, and it's the picture of Vince knocked out with the Rock's foot over him. I'm surprised they used the close-up because on SmackDown they had this wide shot that looked very cinematic of Rock with his foot over Vince. But they did that, and then The Rock said he wants his title shot tonight, and he wants it smack dab in the middle of The Rock's home, which got a big pop. I guess they're in Florida,
Miami,
this week.
Fort Lauderdale.
Or you're in Fort Lauderdale, yes.
Yeah.
And so Vince comes out with a steel chair. Rock says three things can happen. Vince can put down the chair, Vince can try to attack The Rock, or The Rock can take that chair, turn that sumbitch sideways, and sing it, and such and such. And the crowd pops for that. Vince says he agrees to put the chair down, but if The Rock comes at him, Vince will turn his brain into papaya. Rock has to earn his shot tonight, and he's going to face someone who Vince picks in a steel cage match. And the camera pulls out, and we see there's a steel cage above the ring. Which, again, like we're going back to the gimmicks here for the main event.
Yes, sure. I'll say this about the steel cage, though. Steel cage is a different gimmick in the sense that the steel cage is designed to stop all the foolishness and stop all the gimmickry and just put him in a cage so there is no schmazes and interference, conceptually. So,
right. And
it occupies a little different kind of thing in that sense for me.
Okay, that's fair because for me, I feel like, at this point, the steel cage has been a bit bastardized in the Attitude Era just because we see it so much. Because I feel like it used to be, not so much now, like the ultimate blow off. Like this will be the final stop on the feud.
And it was also, and literally that, like kind of like back in the day when someone's like, oh, this guy can win the championship, but interference from the pussy heel and shenanigans. All right, enough of that. Steel cage locked inside. No one can interfere.
Exactly. So
pure wrestling inside.
Here, I guess it's used as a bit more on the, like you said, like a gimmick, which is it's fine. It's not the end of the world, but then they don't. Well, we'll get to it.
Yeah. Well, the plus and the negative of the Attitude Era is like, what? We need something else. We need something, there's always got to be a thing. There's always got to be a twist. There's always got to be something. So throwing that stuff out there. And that's what made it great, but also that's what you get diminishing returns at a certain point,
Oh, and I wanted to mention, we'll talk about this more at the end of the show, but on Nitro, at this time, it's their big reset episode, which I've said before, but this is the episode now where months ago Vince Russo was kicked off the writing team, then the show was directionless, Then there was a rumor that they're bringing Eric Bischoff back. And now what ended up happening is they brought back both Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo, with Bischoff as the executive producer and Russo as the head writer. Theoretically, Bischoff a notch above Russo. And this was the relaunch episode going against this Raw. And the relaunch episode is a pretty eventful episode for WCW, even though they're far behind in the ratings now. And Meltzer even argued that just for one night, you could say that the Nitro show was, I don't know if he said better or more eventful, but like more interesting because there was more happening. So this is a highly competitive night too, a rare competitive night for WWE. And again, I ask, like, is this something that you're paying attention to backstage? Like, is Nitro on at all? Do you remember? Or
would always have someone either back in the studio in Stamford watching it, making notes. Sometimes it would be, depending on what arena you're in and what capability. If an arena had a monitor that could watch it, you know, in whatever was Vince's office, catering or whatever, it would be on sometimes. It wasn't really looked at in any sense of, oh, what are they doing? We got to counter that, because that just becomes just insane. It doesn't even work. But for the most part, like, oh, what did they do? You know, there was a little bit of like a nod, like we sometimes talk about in the postmortem. Oh, they did this or this happened, you know, or whatever. But not really. There was just too much going on to like really worry about it, especially at this point. You know, someone might have said, "Oh, I guess Russo and Bischoff are going back." Oh yeah, I heard that, and well, they got to do something, blah blah blah. Comments like of that nature, but not really. That would be it for the most part, especially now, because this is, you know, if you look at the momentum is like, oh, they're down, and especially the big thing really was, if I remember, the last thing was like, you know, it was crazy when they were fucked. I think Russo left or whatever a while ago. When didn't like Benoit go against Sid for like a long match? And
this was in January. Yes, right before the Radicals came in. Yeah,
and then the behind the scenes stuff. Like I said, when I was shocked at Stamford to be like, holy shit, there's Malenko, Saturn, Benoit, and Eddie Guerrero in the office. Like, what? And how they all walked. You know, that kind of was like a coffin nail. And I think after they introduced, and then they were, you know, in tatters, kind of stopped really talking about WCW a lot at all right at that point.
Yeah,
so.
And also like that's the point I feel like where business really blew up for you guys too.
Yeah.
You know, like ratings and like you said, the sponsorships and other entities wanting to work with you. So you had other stuff to worry about.
That was the coffin nail, because even to this day, I'd love to know more. Like, how did they let that happen? And especially when you just knew that it was the dysfunction over there of like, okay, they just made a big push for Benoit, and then he's gone really quickly after. Whoa, you know, that was just like,
big mistake. All just to put Sullivan on the booking committee, and he got removed after a month.
I guess, but you know what? Before I make that kind of opinion, I don't know exactly how things go out. He may have been gone, and then, you know what I mean? When like, okay, put him back in, whatever the ownership is doing. I can't, you know what I mean? I don't know if it,
there's a lot.
I think they may have been retrofitted from what you say. I would say, oh shit, there's a vacuum. What do we do now? Bring Sullivan back to help guide this rudderless ship. That might
I think that's why they decided to walk, was so Russo was gone, that they were thinking to bring Sullivan, and because of Benoit had his issues with Sullivan because of his wife. It was Kevin's ex-wife.
That's true, but
and so he didn't trust him.
Bigger things have been dealt with easily when people are all getting paychecks.
That's
you
true.
know, so I'm not sure that's the linchpin of
fair.
it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I would, if I had to guess, I would say probably no. There's a lot bigger issues with the foundational structure of what was happening.
So back to the promo with Vince and The Rock. Vince books him in a steel cage match. And then this part, I was stunned because I'm so happy that from last week to this week, he came up with an excuse for Vince to turn on The Rock. I wish we got this last week because it does feel a little retrofitted. So Vince says, we need to go back a year to see who made The Rock who he is. Vince essentially recaps Survivor Series Deadly Game when Rock turned heel to become the corporate champion, which was about a little over a year ago. you wouldn't have been a star without Vince. Oh, no, he says you would have been a star without Vince, but you have never been a superstar. A coined Vince McMahon term. You could have been a doink. We could have put a red nose on you. You could have been a doink, or put some feathers on you, and you could have been the gobbledygooker. And I'm so shocked none of the fans got the gobbledygooker reference. It wasn't that long before this. Or you could put on a little weight and put some hair on your back and become Bastion Booger. I could not believe we got a Bastion Booger reference in 2000. Love it.
Part of that too was like I was always pitching like, yeah, go into the past, use old footage, you know what I mean, like remember this, because sometimes, but
they never used to do it.
I'm an advocate of that, just like making things more dynamic. But the real reason there was a Bastion Booger reference was often, like I said, like pitching things to Vince was just honestly just like it's a good thing for him to say. Like when he said to Lillian Garcia last time, "You'll be the one to sing the blues." This one was like Bastion Booger. Like, yeah, what? Who would be? What's good for Vince to say? Oh, Bastion Booger. That rolls off his tongue better.
It did. It sounded great. I popped. He goes, because of me, you were on SNL. You were a guest on The Tonight Show. Because of me, you're a best-selling author. Why did Vince do it? All he wanted was a thank you from The Rock. See, that's the problem. The Rock wasn't grateful. He didn't say thank you. Look in my eyes and say, thank you, Vince. And since The Rock never said thank you, Vince chose the grandest stage of them all to humiliate The Rock. Do I know who I think you are? And then The Rock responds, The Rock wipes a monkey's ass with what you think. And then Vince goes, and I'm with Vince here, what is this? Licks a monkey's ass? Wipe a llama's anus? This is perverted. You have some... this part really popped me. You have some fixation on the rectal cavity. You have some fascination with what comes out of the rectal cavity. This is when my ears started really perking up, because it seems as though Vince has a fascination with what comes out of the rectal cavity. I'm talking about feces, says Vince. If you this part blew me away. If you take the feces of all the audience in this crowd for the last 24 hours, put it in an oven. Can't really shine it up real nice, but we could really, if you put it in an oven, we could truly smell what The Rock is cooking.
Yeah.
A very long way to get to that joke.
Yeah.
And if anyone has a fascination with feces in this ring right now, we've come to learn since, thanks to these lawsuits, it's Vince McMahon. Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. Yeah. I like when you put it at the end. It's less impactful, but it's like because you get to just say it and then go, allegedly.
Allegedly, according to the lawsuit.
Yeah, this was fun. This was good. And he's kind of right, though. What is it with all this? I remember writing different things, too, like, what is all this primate genitalia?
I love when Vince uses, like, scientific term, like, what is with your obsession with the rectal cavity? Like, what? With an ass. What's your obsession with the ass? You know, like, rectal cavity. It sounds so much funnier than ass.
And sometimes when so much stuff is going on, you're just, like, literally, it was so fun. God damn it. Back then, like, yellow Lego pad, writing these things out, and then just kind of, like, handing it to him at certain points and just seeing him, like, oh, and then you're off doing something else, and then later you hear it and you're like, oh, he picked that one, you know, because you're just like, oh, here's a bunch of fucking rectal feces, whatever, just like phrases and things, and just, you know, and then you see him later like going over it, you know, with the crumpled yellow pad with paper with other ones, and then out there sometimes you're like, oh yeah, that's good, like just it was just very weirdly satisfying. Slip of the paper off to an interview later.
And so
you're in the post Vince promo lull right now. Can't even get back on track to what happened.
I need a cigarette. Okay, so after he smelled what The Rock was cooking, Triple H's music hits, and him, Shane, and Stephanie come out, and I'm like, man, this segment is going long. This is a really, really long segment. It's already 20 minutes. But this was actually the end of the segment, because as they come out, Rock looks towards the entrance ramp and is distracted, And Vince tries to sneak attack The Rock, but The Rock is too smart for that. So Vince falls out of the ring, and then there's just like a stare down, and Jim Ross is left asking, who's The Rock facing in a steel cage tonight?
There you go. Pretty
That's
good.
Jerry Seinfeld. That's my Jerry Seinfeld impression.
Yeah.
What's the deal with all these steel cage matches?
You know what's something I realized too? It's like some of the great ones in this era as it started, that, like we've said before, like, the long promos and the receiving end of one person with a microphone and the other person with a microphone and not really guided by an announcer. When with these guys, it all works great all the time with Austin, with The Rock, because they have the ability to just, Rock's in the ring for so long just while they're saying all this shit. But he has this ability to have that look. Where sometimes if guys aren't good at that, they're like, oh God, I'm out here floundering and I'm faking my kind of like, I'm continued to be agitated in minute 7 and it looks like shit, or like if it's, if the same construct with people that aren't doing it good just falls apart. Microphone, blah, 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 or looking around or doing too much. But like Austin and The Rock, you could watch them just not say anything and be on the receiving end of a long rant. And then boom, they say their shit. And it's a weird skill that the great ones have.
That's a great point. And I think also The Rock needs to really be commended because not a lot of people can look like a serious, threatening main event babyface using terms like llama's anus and monkey's ass and all this stuff. And like he's delivering it in like it's funny, but it's not a joke. Or you know what I mean? Like,
no,
like he's
absolutely.
not a joke.
No, the great ones, and Austin and him, they're fucking funny. Angle,
Angle has a great moment later. Yeah.
But they're funny, but still, physically credible. Yeah, it's interesting.
So I mean, it's interesting. A good hook for the show on who The Rock is going to face, and then we come back. It's the tag team titles are on the line. Edge and Christian versus DX. This match lasted less than 3 minutes. It's good while it lasted, though. They all work together well. Clearly, they're working on the house shows. And it's a quick match. Tori gets on the apron and distracts. It's a finish we've seen a million times. Road Dogg grabs one of the tag titles, does a belt shot. X-Pac does the X Factor. 1, 2, 3. We have new tag team champions already? What?
Yeah. Hey,
how? What?
Competition. It
they
happens.
just won it a week ago. I was about to be very infuriated. And then Earl Hebner runs down. Senior referee Earl Hebner. He tells Mike Chioda, clearly tells him what happened. Mike Chioda orders the match to continue almost instantly. Edge hits a spear, gets the win, and they get out of there. So Earl Hebner cock-blocking DX, I guess, is the storyline. It leads to a bit of inconsistency. Like every match for the last 4 months has had this kind of finish. Why is Earl Hebner just speaking out about it now?
Well, kind of keeping him. Oh, first of all, even though there's a CH in it, it's Mike Chioda.
Oh, sorry,
Chioda. Yeah. Second, just trying to keep Earl Hebner alive as a potential sticking point, potential storyline of a ref put into weird position, and so kind of throw him a bone in that sense. And
this becomes a big storyline over the summer with him and Triple H, I remember.
Yep. So
right, this is leading to that like eventual angle with Jericho.
Yep.
So there's some fun stuff that comes out of this.
So apology accepted, Rob.
Backstage, Godfathers get ready to go. And in another segment, Terri runs into the Kat. This is the first we see them since the only singles match at WrestleMania 2000.
Yep.
And Terri apologizes to Kat and asks if her phone is off the hook. Yes, totally. Terri invites her to get her nails done. Oh, her phone is off the hook because they're getting so much attention from the WrestleMania match because they're so famous now.
One of the last times that phrase is used in a real-time sense, year 2000. Phone off the hook. It has to be in a period piece movie. No one says, is your phone off the hook?
It's true. They only say off the hook now in a more slang term.
And they stopped that 18 years ago, too.
What? No way. I would say this podcast is off the hook.
Yeah. Well, unless you're Guy Fieri talking about a burger.
Oh, yeah.
Or some kind of flavor. Continue.
Terri invites Kat to get their nails done, and Kat accepts. All right.
Accepts. Oh, she's getting her nails done. Oh, she accepts.
Godfather comes out, does a spiel. Pimpin' ain't easy. And then Kurt Angle comes out. This might be one of my favorite promos he's done so far. He wants to talk about something that brings him joy. The joy of celibacy. The 3 eyes are great, but the reason that I am so successful is the big A, abstinence. Like the people in the crowd, Kurt abstains voluntarily. Nice.
Yeah.
Angle has a surprise for the Godfather, a prophylactic. It's a giant wet condom he pulls out, and he thinks the Godfather should start using them. You can prance and you can dance, but when it comes to relations, keep it in your pants. Just so now, who's to say like that? At what point did Godfather say that he's raw dogging it? I would hope Godfather's using a condom with all these women. This is the early 2000s. The medical world isn't as advanced with these STD preventative drugs. You got to use the condoms.
I'm just gonna let you keep continue. You should have been on commentary. I can't.
No,
this is a win-win segment. Just one of those like, he's gonna be great. This is fucking gaga. This is stupid. Who cares who wins? Sure, the Godfather's in such a great place. I get to come out and pin me, pay me. What's the problem? Yeah.
I was just going to say, Godfather doesn't even need to get revenge or any heat back for what happened with Big Show on Thursday. Like, everyone's already forgot. Like, it doesn't matter.
Godfather can get pinned every week for the whole next year. He doesn't care. That's him when he's coming out. Yeah.
And it was actually, they had a really good match. Godfather's a good worker. I think he's a bit underrated as a worker just because, like you said, his gimmick is all before the bell ring.
Well, you forget, too, or I didn't, but Papa Shango, all that stuff, and a legitimate like shoot fighter back in the day and all kinds of stuff. That's
right. He had like a MMA gimmick for a minute.
Yeah, and a real, he was like he did a lot of real stuff in Japan, what have you. So very accomplished. If anything, if he has any limitations now, I think might be because he was, and he's also he was one of the few in the 500-pound bencher club and all. He's a monster. If any limitations right now might be his knees or something at this point. I think he had some, but that's why he was like happy to be like, I'm on air, personality, as most of the guys are, and coming out with the hoe train every week, big smile, ladies, pimping ain't easy. As
Jericho called him like the best opening match at a house show guy, just because you would always get the crowd going.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a competitive match, and Angle sneaks in an angle slam and gets the win. Backstage, as Terri and Kat leave, this was a cool shot. Like they're leaving to go to the salon. The camera stays. The camera stays, and a lowrider comes in with Eddie and Chyna, and Eddie names the lowrider Love Machine, which is a nice tribute to his former tag team partner, Art Barr, who was no longer with us at this point.
And I think he put a little bit of that Love Machine in there.
Oh, Love Machine. Yeah, he's doing the Cheech Marin thing. Yeah. It's very fun to watch this program progress episode to episode, and now they're adding a thing here and there. Also, I
wanted to say this. He's doing the Cheech Marin thing, which is correct because Cheech Marin personified it. But as you know, I lived many years in East LA, and often you'd run into people who are like, holy shit, that's very real.
Oh yeah, that voice.
Yes, there's some cats I ran into that were like, wow, that's amazing. So there you have it.
Yeah, so it's just that East LA accent. Hey, man. Yeah. What was that Cheech Marin movie, Born in East LA? Is that the movie? Where he gets deported?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Classic. Yeah. He doesn't even speak Spanish, and that's, good premise. It'd
probably have a more relevancy now, too. Maybe there's a reboot. Yeah, there you go. We could pitch it to him. Cheech Marin gets sent to El Salvador.
There you go.
Okay, now we got too heavy. Let's reel it back. Let's reel it back. All right, so after Eddie and China arrive, backstage Rikishi, Scotty, Tuhati, and Taz are walking to the ring. Made me wonder, where the hell's Brian Christopher? It turns out he was dealing with a really bad knee injury. He had floating cartilage in his knee, and it winded up in his bursa sac, which resulted in major knee swelling over the past few weeks. And he's actually been working through it to make sure he wrestled at WrestleMania, and he had to have it drained and heavily padded to work WrestleMania. He wanted that WrestleMania bonus, baby. You only get paid if you work in this time. So he worked through it and then took a little bit of time off, but should be back by the end of the month.
It's not exactly true depending on all the contracts, but there is big bonuses for pay-per-views, certainly. So
right. Well, I mean, at this time, there wasn't necessarily, for most of the wrestlers, there wasn't guaranteed money. You get paid a downside.
I think at this point, most time there's that's what it's called. It's called a downside guarantee. So let's say hey, here's your downside guarantee, $100,000 for the year. Oh, you go out tomorrow, you blow your knee out, you're going to get paid out $100,000 over the next year. But potentially through meeting so many, it's like a bonus situation. Pay-per-view bonuses, this and that. You could make up to this T-shirt. Blah, blah, blah. Right.
So
that's the basics. And almost everyone, I think, was on something like that.
Right. So, I mean, to that point, WrestleMania, it's the biggest bonus of the year.
Absolutely.
You're gonna want to stick around for that.
Well, not only that, just for the money, but also just the cruelty of the business is like, I'm not on camera. I'm out of sight, out of mind. As with all sports, even or what have you. But that's a big deal.
No, I agree with you, and I feel like we've seen that with a few wrestlers, like for example Val Venus. He's getting back on camera, but there was a good few months where he just wasn't on TV, just out of sight, out of mind, like you said. Also, backstage, Big Show is telling Shane, "You thought last week was great. Wait until this week." All right, let's see what's up later. We have the Radicals, Saturn, Benoit, Malenko, and now it's interesting. Like Eddie's almost been broken away from the Radicals at this point. Now that he has this fun gimmick.
Yeah.
They don't want China interacting with the Radicals, or you don't want China interacting with the Radicals, I should say. And so he's kind of separated, and they're on their own, and they're taking on Taz, Rikishi, and Scotty Tuhati. Big pop for Rikishi's hot tag. He would arguably be the most over person in the match. Too Cool, super over. Scotty's getting pops. Total chaos. Scotty tries to do the cloverleaf on Malenko. Ref is distracted. Gets a lariat from Saturn. Quick pin, and they're out of there. The Radicals get the win.
Why not? That's some more of that leftovers made into a delicious casserole.
Right. Exactly. Like you had these guys, not really much of a direction.
Right.
Just throw them in there and make it quick. It was quick. All the matches I feel were like under 5 minutes. Probably because that opening segment went really long.
Yeah. It's fine. And the Radicals, I was thinking about this. In a way, everything was going so good. You have the roster. It's kind of a problem. It's the good problem where, like I said, I can't believe WCW let them go. And suddenly you got this like pretty big faction and these pretty big names. And it was great because like, holy shit, they showed up. But now you have to like, the trick is always like, how do we service them and not make them slip back? And we have Dia and we have all these, you know what I mean? It's kind of like totally a great thing for like, yeah, Eddie, okay, go into this entertainment thing, even though you're great or whatever. You just, at a certain point, there's not enough real estate to like service everyone's a threat and all these, you know what I mean? It becomes like,
how do you create 4 separate storylines? You can't.
Yeah.
I totally understand that issue. And really, at this point, if I'm a free agent, I don't know if I'm considering WWE just because it's so, especially in the middle of the card, it's really competitive. Like there's not a lot of room to move.
Although the other side of that is like if I'm a free agent, even through some weird bad booking, whatever, I just got more exposure in 5 minutes than the previous 10 years of my career on the indie. It's that. True. The disparity is incredible, and there's people who have just been on the roster that can to this day be like, I'm at signings and stuff. So. It is such a huge carrot. You just can't,
And the other side of it is like, well, the other options are WCW, which is months away from going out of business, and ECW, which months away from going out of business. So there's not a lot.
Or Japan.
Or Japan, that's true. There is money to be made in Japan, but
a lot of it. You have to be a certain kind of certain kind of beast to work in Japan. But plenty of guys did. There's who Scott Norton. Good, you look. By the time he went to WCW, people, he's like a big
world champion there,
yeah. But he was kind of he's a little bit past his prime. Like, was that a big strong man? But then you look at his stuff in Japan, it's unbelievable, and he's a huge star. There, on and on.
So we're at the salon now, and Terri and Kat are there with Francois. Terri offers Kat a drink. Kat accepts. Then we see behind the stylist's back, Terri spikes Kat's drink, which I believe is at least a misdemeanor now.
Gotta be a felony.
I believe, it's a criminal offense on camera.
At least a third. How do they rank felonies? What's a third class felony? It's at least a felony. It's got to be a felony.
Yeah,
but also a very time-honored common trope amongst the wrestling world. Spiking people's drinks.
Backstage or front stage?
Planes everywhere,
Yeah, I was going to say, behind the scenes, absolutely. Yeah. This was a big ribbing thing.
Yeah,
Very fucked
up. He's on the plane and they can't even get out of the seat.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, I'm sure you could find a YouTube compilation of just spiking drinks or whatever. Or I believe it was GHB was what they would throw in there.
Everything. So...
Yeah. Very cruel. Yeah. Very unnecessary. But we'll get back to that one. Then my favorite segment of the evening, the best match on the card. Triple H comes out for a match, and the whole thing is like, who's his opponent going to be? And it's Taka Michinoku from Kaientai.
Yep.
And interestingly, the acolytes accompany Kaientai. I wonder if the Sunday Night Heat before this, we'll have to look it up, was the one that you said you booked where it was like the whole episode was the acolytes running around searching for Kaientai.
Oh, that was so fun. I can't remember. I don't know if this was before or...
I really like how the APA are positioned as these heaters for the babyface side. It's great. And so they come out, they run Shane out of ringside, and it's a fun but kind of a messy match. Kaientai blew a few of the spots, but Triple H is in full Ric Flair working with a lower card guy on WCW Saturday Night mode, where he's taking all of Taka's moves.
Yeah.
He's doing like the flopping around and like.
And you do say a lower card guy, but a spectacular lower card guy.
A very influential wrestler to this day. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but just their position on the totem pole is Taka's at the very bottom, and Triple H is at the very top. So Triple H is gonna win, and you assume it'll be a match where it'll be like a weekend match, like a wrestling challenge match, where Triple H makes easy work of Taka. But no, Taka Michinoku took most of the match, and he is a spectacular wrestler. I agree with you. He had a great match with Dean Malenko on SmackDown previously. Well,
I would have thought the cards were so stacked, even to get in the further my elder Markism. Yeah, I would have thought, Taka's going to take most of the match and lose at the end. That would have been my thought, because it's too much, right? And he's too good. So just saying.
Oh, so you would say this match went pretty predictably then?
Yes. Ooh, Note Pasbani clutches his Smart Mark medal and Smart Mark Major. You must salute the Smart Mark Colonel. Sorry.
Acolytes were eventually standing in the aisle to make sure nobody runs in. Triple H falls to the outside at one point and accidentally bumps into the APA, and this gets them very upset. Bradshaw gives Triple H a clothesline from hell. I love this ongoing storyline of Triple H being scared to death of the Acolytes.
Sure, yeah.
Like,
everyone.
He wants none of their shit. They throw him back in. Taka Michinoku does like a moonsault, like some top rope move, and there's a pinfall, and the crowd absolutely bought the near fall. It was like 2 3/4. The crowd was like, "Oh my God, is he gonna win?" No, he doesn't win. Vince and Shane come out to try to calm down APA, with APA's back turned to the entrance. Ice comes down. Bossman and Bill Buchanan run down and attack APA. And then in the ring, Triple H regains control. Massive pedigree, wins the match, gives both members of Kind-Tai pedigrees. He's still the champ.
Good
Backstage,
stuff, I thought, actually.
This was great. Yeah, I really liked this.
Weird, convoluted, but all had like this kind of a different sort of thing. That's why I love my favorite thing ever, the APA, just being like, oh, because for often there's like, why is that person running in? But with them, it's like, oh, they're up for sale. Someone got, give us money. And, they're like, for hire. So I always love that.
Now, why didn't Vince offer them more money while he was, hey, guys, how much should Kind-Tai pay? I'll double it.
Well, it's one of those things that slips his mind, I think the storyline would have been, oh, my, why didn't I think of that? Damn it. Plus he's cheap. I don't need to. I'm not going to pay if I don't need to.
Yeah, that's true. You could just get Boss Man and Bull for free. He's already paying them.
Yeah, right.
Backstage, Trish is in the hallway with T&A. She orders them to run into the Dudley's locker room and beat him up after Bubba tried to put his hands on Trish. I like that. We see them getting a bit of a taste of their own medicine, so to speak, and also kind of further establishing the Dudleys' tweening face turn a little bit. Like they're sort of almost faces.
Sure. They're tweeners. We're in the age of tweeners.
It's true. There's a lot of people that kind of...
To quote Vince McMahon, Rob, that babyface heel is passe.
Yes,
Remember
you're right.
the famous passe promo?
Yeah. We don't believe in black and white, but shades of gray. We get TNA versus the Hardys, which is surprising. I read that Jeff is still messed up from the ladder match. Like he had trouble with his heel last week. He's doing better this week, according to the Observer of the time. This was a short but a fun match. Everybody worked hard, and this was a good mashup of styles with the big guys working with the Hardys running around them. Eventually, Hardys get the clean win with a swanton on Albert. After the match, the Dudleys run in and attack TNA, yes. They attack Test and Albert. And they give Test a 3D. They set up a table. Trish gets on the apron. She distracts Bubba. Albert runs from behind and double arm chokeslam Bubba into the table for the huge heat. The crowd doesn't like this. They wanted to see a domestic assault. They wanted to see man on woman violence.
Woo.
Val Venus comes out. No promo. And who is his opponent? It's the Big Show, or the Big Showboski. Big Show comes out imitating Val Venus. He's got a towel over his body, over his what am I thinking? Torso? No, not torso. Over
nether region?
Waist. Yeah, his waist. There we go.
Waist. Ooh. You're all flustered. Oh.
And
quite a waist.
The best $20 Spencer Gifts mullet wig I've ever seen.
Yes. This is the dawning of the entertaining Big Show.
Right. But also I could see how someone like a Jim Cornette could say, God damn, you're killing the Big Show here. But I loved it.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it before. People will have said, and I've known Jim Ross and people said like, oh, that, career could have been so much more in that wrestling purist thing. And I suppose it could have, but a lot of that is based in the Big Show himself and how much he wanted, to be that kind of physical ring guy, when at this point it was like, oh, he can be entertaining and do this. And like a lot of guys like, oh, that kind of makes a career, long too. And remember, Big Show had a Netflix sitcom that wasn't very well, but certainly didn't do very well, but certainly not because of him. He was in no way, shape, or form, I thought, like a weak link of that show.
Who was?
So,
the wife?
Just my statement
The writing was...
rests. But so he's, and also the complications of someone that big working. Like I said, Andre, they even traveled around. They were very, very judicious in how they doled out his TV time, because like, how does a guy that big sell that much?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
How do you book a giant week to week? You can't. You can only book him in a program. He has to go away, come back.
Yeah, so I'm not defending everything perfectly, but to just come out and say, oh, they killed him and they killed, it's like.
Also, I do want to say there was a Big Show did have a reputation at this time, and I can't say one way or the other. It's just what I've heard, that like he was a little on the, I don't even want to use the term, but lazy. He was like, he wasn't like, I feel like Vince was always dogging him to lose weight or get in better shape or like get better stamina. So
thank God I tap danced around that so you would finally say it. I didn't say it. You said it.
Report. I've read the reports. These are reports from Dave Meltzer of anonymous stooges backstage.
Yep.
So to your point.
Yep.
To your point about why he wasn't a main eventer, I don't think that Vince would have positioned him as a main eventer because he didn't trust him in that role, because you did give him the ball a few months ago, and I'm guessing Vince was disappointed with how he carried the ball. So,
well, there's that, and yeah, you're right. And beyond that, I believe his entrance into pro wrestling period, didn't he win WCW Championship like immediately?
Yes.
As a kind of a hot shot thing. So, so there's different ways to look at it. Ultimately, you could look at it like, oh, that guy had a 20-year career on TV. No small feat. And also, one thing I remember about, and I always like, it's going to be like a broken record, SmackDown's not even a year old. There's so much programs that used to be able back in the day that you could run for 6 months with house shows and stuff that you didn't see are now over in 2 weeks on TV.
You mean like feuds when you say program?
Feuds, anything. Set pieces, whatever, however you want to do it. The machine is just eating up everything all the time, and you have these hours, and you're like, okay, so Gaga became a much bigger thing, just inevitably, because how could you do it? 3-hour show, then SmackDown, one pay-per-view, and it's just the nature of the beast, and there's a downside to that, and that's that. So
I want to read one piece of feedback. We talked about this guy last week, one of our favorite attitudinals, PMFG.
Is he a Western Heritage attitudinal?
I don't know yet. Maybe if he comments again after this. PMFG writes, so in 6 months, they already turned the Big Show babyface, heel, then back babyface, and have him doing yet another goofy gimmick? This is horrendous. Imagine defending this booking and even saying it was one of my favorite Big Show periods. PMFG, I don't have to imagine defending it. I did defend it. Yeah. I am accepting of my defense. This was fun. I agree. I thought the Big Show Bossman thing, I criticized it. I thought it made Big Show looked like a herb. I thought the title win felt unearned. I didn't really. I liked the feud with The Rock at the beginning of the year. I thought it gave Big Show credibility, but this is where I was finally sports entertained. So I will. Imagine me defending it. Here I am defending it.
Whoa. I will not apologize for being sports entertained.
Yes.
Are you not sports entertained? So now we have to imagine, generally, I always painted the picture of the panning camera and the young, pissed off Smart Mark, Rob Pasbani, sour, as everyone cheered some gaga around him. Now we go and everyone's cheering, including Smart Mark, Rob Pasbani. And what's this guy's name again?
PMFG.
And PMFG is 2 rows behind Pasbani. Sour.
He's like, no, don't cheer, Rob.
Yeah.
Should be upset.
But part of what he laid out there is just the horrible nature of this machine. It's like you got to turn babyface, you got to do this and that. It's like if you look at soap operas back in the day, General Hospital, all these things, you start to like at a certain point, hey, what has this character gone through? And then like, well, remember she was a prostitute and then this and now she's this and that's this and you're married. Right. It just becomes preposterous. But it's like the pace of those shows that were like on every day, like just they had to chew up storylines, and that's part of it. So while I don't disagree with him, and let the record show, I never called the Big Show lazy.
All right. Well, Big Show goes, hello, ladies. We know it's not the motion of the ocean, but the size of the boat that turns you on. So never mind the SS Mino in the ring. Buy a ticket on the Big Show Titanic if you want to see the
Mino?
real
What
thing.
is that? Is that a Minnow?
That's just Minnow. Oh, yeah. What's that?
That's you've just been outed as a youngster. That's a Probably
Oh,
also
from Gilligan's Series.
It's
Oh,
the
from
end of
Gilligan's Island.
Gilligan's Island. I just outed you as a Russian spy. Oh, Gilligan's Series. Gilligan's Series. What is he talking about?
The great Gilligan series. Yeah, with the
the
Skyper.
Mino. Yes, the Mino from the Gilligan series.
Yeah, the Skyper. He would always be on the Skype, right? And
Skipper.
the Skyper too.
You're under arrest.
Okay, I totally didn't get that. I was like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
So, fair enough. But Gilligan's Island was already a 30-year-old show at this point. So it's already
Well, it was still was in
It
mass.
was still
It was the massive syndication of
Right. It wasn't repeats. Okay, fair. So then Val Venus grabs the mic and goes, if your brain was as big as your mouth, you'd realize that the Titanic sank. And it wasn't the iceberg that sank the Titanic. It was your dimply fat ass. And then Show kind of breaks the act and frowns and is sad. And I kind of didn't like that. I don't like that he's so sensitive, but I get it. I get it.
It was an odd moment.
Yeah, it was weird. It was very weird character choice.
And also, I think
the-
it was kind of rushed because really, it just was one of those like, we'll just what's the button of just your dimply fat ass. It doesn't. The cadence of the whole thing, it seems like it was leading up to something, but it wasn't, which often happened. It was like
right,
and it was the Titanic, but it was this, and you keep waiting for this like punchline, and it wasn't the iceberg that sunk it. It was your dimply fat ass. What?
Yeah. Does that mean the Big Show is like 80 years old?
Yeah. And what? How? You're still trying to connect the dots of a joke somehow.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't the iceberg, it was the ass. So what does it have to do?
I think with the frown, the idea is that Big Show's all fun and goofy until you upset him. Then he's like a monster. The match tried to tell the story. It was a little messy. At one point, I couldn't believe I saw this. You did they did a crotch spot on the Big Show where you could see the Big Show's feet are like hitting the ring. Like how is he crotched if he's taller than the ring? I don't know. It was weird. I didn't buy it. But it was an attempt. So
you didn't buy it?
The finish sees Big Show lose his temper by being thrown over the top rope. And he goes like, that's it. He's like upset outside. He's like, where the hell's my towel? And it looks like the towel had already been brought backstage. So instead, he grabbed the wig that had fallen off of his head, got back in the ring, beat up Val Venus, and then hung Venus over the top rope with the wig. It did not look believable, but they got through it, and it was a DQ finish. It was a non-finish. So the idea is this is now like the second match, I believe, where the joke stops being funny and Big Show gets serious, and it ends up in a DQ, right? I believe with the Godfather match, it ended similarly. I think, maybe. So that's the game of the Big Show segments here, and we'll see where this leads.
Oh, don't say game.
I'm sorry.
That's Triple H. Gimmick infringement.
Different gimmick.
That was the thing. Was always like, and that was a good thing to at least have in the back pocket with someone of his size to be like, who's ever going to wake up the Big Show? This is all fun and games. He wants to be a goofball more than a big terror, but maybe one day he'll wake up or something will happen. So it's a good thing to have because often people have been saddled by gimmicks of like just pure entertainment or mimicry, and then like, oh, okay, that's fine. But at least he always had that. Yeah.
We got a new intro song for Eddie Guerrero, and it's like Mamacita. He gets, and him and China come out. I'm very impressed with how quickly you moved with this. It's been not even a week, but I guess the turn was planned ahead of time. So you had
it was very quick, but the thing that made it fast was Eddie Guerrero and the phrase Latino heat and him. It just like bing. Her speaking Spanish, that was like, and the look and the dark hair, it all just was like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4 elements, boom. It was just like instant over. Some things are just instant over, and this was one of them.
This was so over. They come out, and China is holding her new shirt that says "Va-China." Eddie proudly wears it. China looks absolutely stunning here. This is her back. By the way, on the back of her shirt, it says "Enter at your own risk."
Yeah,
Enter
good
her
stuff.
vagina at your own risk. She looks absolutely stunning here. This is the best I think China's ever looked. I wish that she would have stopped the plastic surgery here. She did not know. And honestly, I personally think, I don't think she ever really needed the plastic surgery. I understand why she got it. I understand where her insecurities came from, but I thought she always had a very stunning look. And here in particular, it's like central casting, top notch, like, empowered female look.
Yeah. It was something, those two coming down in a lowrider, it was just this curious, wonderful mix of like, what? Like you said, like she's this, but she's that, but it's the melding of these weird like tropes and cliches, but they all like, yeah.
The idea, because Eddie is seen as this like credible, tough wrestler, and here he is like just drooling over China.
Yeah.
It really added credibility for her, and I think it established his character with the WWE audience who might not have known him from WCW.
Sometimes when things are over, the more you analyze, it's like a frog. You can dissect it, but it's gonna die. So just let it happen. You know what I mean? I guess that's what. Oh shit! There should be no podcast because that's all we do is.
Oh no! Well, no, it's okay now.
Yeah.
Looking back, it's okay. Jericho comes out. He says, "I'm happy for you two. By the way, which one of you is the man? Which one of you has the bigger package?" I like that when he asked that, both Eddie and China pointed to Eddie like, "Oh, there's no it's Eddie." I like that. That. Jericho says that the Taco Bell Chihuahua has more Latino heat than you. This was the moment where the Taco Bell had the Chihuahua mascot, "Yo quiero Taco Bell," and so forth. But at least the Chihuahua's bitch is housebroken. And Jim Ross asks, "Did he just call China? Hey, Jim, relax, Jim."
Yeah. That's what I love about the idiotic standards and practices. You could do that because, well, what is a female dog called? A bitch.
Yeah.
So therefore, you like we can call it. He's referencing the Taco Bell Chihuahua's bitch.
Yes. The crowd responds with a Y2J chant, so they are not offended by this. There's a bunch of misogynists in the crowd.
Yeah.
Awesome match. I'm so pleased that these two are in a program together because you're guaranteed at least one great match a show. And there have been other good matches, but they just work so well together. They work great in WCW. They have like 10, 15 years of working together at this point. So they could have a great match in their sleep.
And Guerrero has 0 bad matches.
Right. I agree with you.
He's one of those guys.
Absolutely, yeah. Jericho gets Guerrero in the walls of Jericho. China gets on the apron. Jericho drops the hold to attack China. China falls down. Eddie tries to get a roll-up. Kick out. China hands Eddie the European title. The ref is on the telling China to go down. There's a commotion. The ref gets knocked down. So China just comes in, destroys Jericho, gives him a DDT, throws Eddie over Jericho, and they get the pinfall. Now, here's my question. Where is Earl Hebner? Why did Earl Hebner run out for this one? And
He's getting no. He's getting his ass chewed backstage by Vince. Yeah.
Okay. Or he might have actually been the referee in the match. So then I asked, where's Mike Chioda?
Well, I think Mike Chioda was taking a shit.
I'm just saying, like, this feels... This is where the referee thing it feels inconsistent. If the ref is going to call
you're opening a can of worms. What is the timing of anyone backstage ever coming? Maybe they were in the referee locker room going over something. Someone said, some shenanigans are happening. Oh, I got to tie my shoe. It's too late. Already happened.
Well, if that's the case, if it's too late, then the next, wouldn't there be a meeting or something to prevent this thing from happening?
Constantly. But how can you do it? What do you do?
Okay,
people have been hoisted in cages and what kind of can of worms are you opening with people running in backstage?
Okay.
I wanted to do something one time, but never got it. Just because it was too kind of anti wrestling breaking down the fourth wall is like some kind of run-in where someone was like so far away and like I heard about it and they had to like they were getting there, and then like and just time it where then they finally were like, oh, they ran into this perfect moment. Like, well, I was like down the ramp doing, dealing with my rental car. Yeah. Like, oh God. And I had to first put my boot on and tie it. And
a steel cage is coming down. It's almost main event time. But before that, thankfully, we get our closure with the Kat and Terri. I was like, oh, what's going on? Is the Kat okay? Woo. So Terri wakes up the Kat and she looks awful. Her hair is, it's obviously a wig, but like her hair is all messed up and dyed green. Her lipstick is all smudged. Terri wrote tramp on her forehead and Kat is just selling it. And then she was like, hey, and we gave your dog a haircut too, which I thought was too far. We see The Rock looking absolutely jacked coming to the ring. He looks particularly like he has a good pump. Probably doing some push-ups before the camera got on him. McMahon and Helmsley come down. They're at ringside for the match. Who is The Rock's opponent? Well, it's opponents. It's Boss Man and Bull Buchanan.
Yep.
Who kind of look like herbs in this match. But again, this is the totem pole. Rock is at the top of the totem pole. They're above Kai and Tai, but not too far above Kai.
Well, they're kind of like, I would say, positioning themselves here as like Ultra Stooges.
Yes.
Mega Stooges, if you will.
And
only the insiders will know that.
The game is essentially that Rock kind of keeps one of them at bay while working on the other one to make it look like he has some bit of an advantage. He seems to be holding his own, and then Shane starts climbing up the cage, and The Rock goes to stop him, and then he gets crotched. And then that changes the momentum of the match. It's a 2-on-1. There's still a Shane's a pussy chant. Shows how over Shane is. And eventually, The Rock neutralizes the Boss Man, and Bull Buchanan just jumps into a rock bottom. 1, 2, 3. The Rock wins. Triple H attacks Rock after the match. Brass knuckles. Rock just crimson, like cuts himself way too hard for like way too much blood for this ankle. I think he's just gushing blood.
Well, that isn't, it's not as if you can be like, I'm going to give myself a 1/16 of an inch blade, and you're sweating and and so that's not a exacto science, no pun intended. But so that's that. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, but just reminds me of a story that Taz, I think it was even his first time blading or something. There's like, he said he just like didn't know how to do it, or didn't do it before, and he just like really like just like because sometimes they're like you can glue a razor to your fingernail, put in a piece of tape and a wrist or whatever, but he just I can't remember, but he taped some to his like fingernail and then undid or glued it to the like a little spike to your fingernail and then undid the tape, and he just did it, and he goes, it was like, it's just so much. They like whoever he was wrestling is like, oh God, we can just go home now. It says, oh, this is awful. And he's like, what? I didn't. He just was like just gushing like, no, you just got to do it like a little. He's like, oh, I better make sure I do it right. And flew, just lacerated his head. So just a little color story. Little color
there for you.
Little color commentary.
Triple H grabs the mic and says, you want to play games, Rock? I'm done playing games. I'm the worst nightmare. This is step 1. Acolytes show up to get revenge, and that gets Triple H and Vince to run off, and The Rock is gushing as we go off the air. Interesting that the Acolytes are thrown into this.
Yeah, it makes sense. Also, you can tell where the color comes from is the worry that the same thing is going over and over, and and things that you've commented to in the game. So sometimes you're like, oh, color will help that. It'd be like, oh, this may have been, people would have farted at it more if they're like, oh, okay, The Rock's destroyed in the cage again, but he's not really.
Yeah, and also
hurt.
you were kind of teasing like, who is this opponent? And it was a little disappointing. That
and it's a handicap, and it's this nonsense again. But the color made it like, oh. And sometimes, it's like we said, it's in comparing it to like a football game or something like, oh, that was 3 kind of crummy quarters, but the ending, and they've game-winning touchdown at the end. the game has a whole different patina to it, if you will. So that's what was going on here. So
a relatively by the numbers episode of Raw, in the sense that we didn't really get much storyline progression. Like if you missed this episode, you didn't really miss much.
And what was great, what would happen a lot, the post-show feeling was like, there's exactly that, what you just said, but people are fucking losing their minds, and everyone's such good workers and pros that it actually pulled off a good show, even though sometimes when you add it up on paper or you look at it like, oh yeah, whatever, and we snarkily look at the past like, oh, this, that, and that, but like, you remember like, fucking crowd was hot, people went out, and also a further thing that was happening was the realization that like, oh, fucking Triple H is a top fucking hated heel. Let's keep doing this thing where like he has this massive apparatus around him and Rock's a super underdog, and they are going towards a collision course. And that's always fun when you're like, it's like writing a movie or anything, and it's like, we kind of got our ending and we're working towards that. At least like there's a big main event that's going to do all the heavy lifting for all the other stuff moving forward, pay-per-views or wherever it's going, and it's those two. So kind of preserving that a little and not necessarily advancing. That's a weird word sometimes. It's like the illusion of advancement, sometimes. So
yeah, I mean, as a viewer, I know that the next main event has to be Rock versus
Taka Michinoku. I mean, yeah, Triple H.
Yes. No, just because it's like The Rock has to get his vent. Like he got screwed at Mania, and he needs and really, like, you've been positioning The Rock as the heir to the world title for at least 6 months. Like even at Survivor Series, it was almost assumed that The Rock would win, if not for that Austin thing where you had to put it on Big Show. So yeah, and like I said, I remember loving Backlash, so I'm very excited to get to the next pay-per-view. I'm excited to see how we get there. We have Undertaker in the wings. We have Steve Austin getting better. Things are moving, folks, and you can move along with us. Of course, we always would love your feedback. You can always leave a comment on the YouTube, like PMFG, or you can email us, tftattitudera@gmail.com, or follow us on socials. And we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter. TFT Attitude Era is the handle. Thank you for tuning in.
But we're no longer on Tout.
We're off.
Another one for the super insiders.
We're off Tout. We're off.
What were they talking about? Oh, I need to know.
We're off AOL. We're off CompuServe. What were the message boards?
But you can find us on Lycos and Ask Jeeves.
Yes.
Oh,
but thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week recapping the next SmackDown on Tales from the Attitude Era.